All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages: How to Pass Your Wife's Tests Without Even Trying. So, women definitely test men, especially when they are trying to win their wife back, whether that's to try to have more sexual intimacy with them, whether that is to end a separation or stop separation or win their wife back from divorce. Women are going to test you. And whether that's conscious or unconscious, it's actually the smartest thing for them to do. And so we're going to talk today about how do you pass those tests without even trying. My name is Mike Frazier, MD. I trained as a psychiatrist, and I am a marriage coach for high-achieving Christian men to help them have more intimate marriages. I love doing it, and I would love to work with you if that's you, if you're a high-achieving Christian man. So I wanted to share a win of the week with you guys. So this is one of the guys in our program. Kind of struggled with this idea for a while, but finally kind of got it this past week. And I just want to share and just how cool it was. So he said, I realize I've been relying on my wife for my happiness, and I can't do that anymore. I need to trust that she's my wife and she's here. As I realized this through prayer and expressed it to my wife with love, I felt a release of pressure. I felt love. I felt strong. It let me turn the page in our marriage. My wife appreciated the morning conversation. It meant a lot to her. After I put the kids to bed, I came down to her and she was in bed, quote unquote, waiting, wink, wink, for me. So able to create mental, emotional, and physical sexual intimacy with his wife is so outstanding. This is what happens, guys, when you make the changes you need to make. So, and when you come in the program and do the work, right, these things happen faster. You get the feedback, you get the accountability, you get all of that. So but let's explain what usually happens, right? So when your wife pulls away, okay, whether that's just having less sex with you, whether that's not talking with you as much, whether that's something more extreme like a separation or talking about a divorce, usually guys will start making positive changes. So you start saying, okay, like she's not having sex with me as much. Let me kind of do some more nice things for her, right? Let me spend more time with her. Let me buy her more things, right? Same thing for separation divorce. Guys tend to follow kind of a similar pattern. Let me finally do all the stuff that she asked me to do. Let me clean up around the house and do all of that, right? So you start treating her kindly. You start, listening to her more. You're paying her more attention. You're prioritizing her. You're doing all those things that she asked you to do forever. Okay. And you're feeling good about those changes, right? You're like, oh, finally, I'm doing these good things and, that's great. But your wife, she's not impressed by all this. Okay. She ignores your changes. Okay. So you send her a text, hey, I love you. Nothing comes back. Or it's like, yeah, if you loved me, you wouldn't have done this and this. Right. So again, either she ignores them completely or she actually gives you negative feedback about it. Like she says something like, well, yeah, this isn't going to last, or hey man, too little, too late, or save that for your next wife. These are all things I've heard men's wives say to them when they're trying to make these changes. So, what's going on here? Okay. So to yourself, you're thinking, man, I thought my wife, she'd be happy that I'm finally making these changes. Like, why isn't she happy about this? The opposite seems to be happening. You know, you're asking yourself, why can't she just be happy? She's getting what she wants from me, right? So instead of seeing it from your side, right, of like, look, I'm changing. Why can't she just be happy I'm changing? We need to understand her side of it better. Okay. So she's been asking for these changes from you probably for a long time. Okay. She wants you to pay attention more. She wants you to prioritize her. She wants you to just follow through with your commitments is a big one. Okay. So most of the time, you've started making these changes that she asked for a long time under some kind of threat from her. Okay. Whether that's just like her kind of distancing herself from you, right? Through not talking to you as much, not connecting with you as much, through not having sex with you as much, or something more extreme like that separation or divorce. Okay. But bottom line is, you know, her pulling away from you is what has kind of generated these changes in you. Okay. And that's a problem because what she's learned is, okay, if I want my husband to change, what I need to do is pull away. Okay. That's what's going to motivate him. All right. So it's not good, right? It's not a good lesson that you've taught her. Okay. And so now you want her back. And she's like, well, the only leverage I had on this guy was to pull away. So if I come back, my leverage is gone and this guy's not going to change at all. Okay. So you got to understand her biggest fear. So your wife, she loved you and she trusted you when you got married. That's just the truth, or she would not have married you. Okay. But over time, you lost that trust from her. Okay. And that could have been for a lot of reasons, but I talk a lot about the Mosquito method, which is where you are doing nice things for her, but she starts to understand that you're not just trying to be nice. You're actually trying to get something back from her. You're trying to get attention from her. You're trying to get appreciation. You're trying to get affection and sex by, providing for her, by sending her nice messages, by doing all that stuff. And eventually she realizes that, and that is very manipulative and not something to be trusted. Okay. And usually this is the more subtle pull away, right? This is where she just doesn't talk to you as much. Maybe she even starts talking to another guy, right? There's an emotional affair, or even maybe a transition to a sexual affair, right? Because she just kind of knows you're there manipulating her, or you've just ignored her altogether. Okay. So, or you haven't prioritized her, or you've gotten to pornography, or, had an affair, all of these things lost her trust. Okay. So now she's pulling away. Okay. And so you've started to change. So again, in her mind, and really she's probably right, the way to get you to change is to pull away, is for her to pull away from you. So if she were to come back, okay, what do you think her biggest fear would be? Try to answer this for yourself. Okay. So she knows if she pulls away, that's what makes you change. So if she comes back, what's her fear? Okay. So if you guessed that your changes are going to disappear, you are right. That's her biggest fear. So, you're doing all these changes to try to get her back, right? But when she comes back, you don't have that same motivation. Your motivation's gone, right? Her worry is, okay, if I come back to this guy, right? Sure, he's making some changes now, but the motivation for those is me pulling away. So if I come back, all these positive changes I'm seeing, like him actually prioritize me, actually listening to me, actually kind of doing nice things for me, okay, they're going to go away. So really the biggest question in our mind, guys, is are these changes going to last, right? Are they permanent? So what does she do? And this is either on purpose or unconsciously, but either way, it's the right thing for her to do. Okay. What she starts doing is she tests these new changes. Again, it's smart for her to do. You've lost her trust. Okay. So the smart thing for her to do is say, okay, like, how can I really make sure that these changes are for real? Okay. And that they're going to last. So the way that she does this, again, either on purpose or just because women understand, and we all kind of understand that there's a way to sort of test if changes are real or not. And the way to do that is by giving little to no positive feedback to your changes. Okay. Nothing. Right. So you buy her a present and she doesn't even look at it. She says like barely a thank you. Okay. Or she throws it in the garbage. All right. Or, you're being nice. Hey, can I let me pick up the kids today? She's like, oh, whatever. Right. Do whatever you want. Okay. So sure, part of that is because she's mad, but also part of her wants to know, right? Are these changes really going to last? In a way, she hopes they do, right? There's a lot riding on this, especially if you guys have kids. She actually wants you to be a good husband and father. She just is worried that you won't be, right? She's worried that these changes are not going to be consistent. Okay. So again, the smart thing for her to do and the right thing for her to do is to make it pretty hard on you, right? To make it hard on you to actually maintain these changes. Because if you can, right, then you prove to yourself and to her that, hey, like, this is for real. But if you can't, then you prove to yourself and to her that really they're not going to last. Okay. And then she loses trust in you even more. Okay. It's even worse now because you kind of said, oh, yeah, I'll change. And then she gives you kind of a hard time about it. And then you stop, right? Then you've really proved to her this isn't for real. Okay. I'm not changing for real. This is just a trick, to get you back. So and she can be kind of mean, right? And maybe that's not the best way to go about it, but at the same time, it's smart, right? It is a smart way for her to test if these things are right, okay? Because she knows it's pretty easy to make changes with positive feedback. Okay, so if you are training a dog, the way that you train a dog to do something is whenever it does something even a little bit right, you give it a treat. Okay, so if you're trying to teach it to go to the bathroom outside, right? If it takes like a couple steps towards outside, you give it a treat, right? and then a few more steps and you give it a treat. So everything gets positive feedback. Okay, so it's pretty easy to, you know, make those changes when there is constant positive feedback. If every time you did something nice, your wife gave you a huge hug and a kiss and had sex with you, right? It would be really easy to keep doing positive things. Okay. But it's pretty difficult to maintain changes when you don't get any positive feedback, or even when you get negative feedback. So again, with like training the dog, right? So the right thing for the dog to do, if we can kind of put morals on a dog, the considerate, nice thing to do would be to go to the bathroom outside, right? Instead of inside the house. So, you know, ideally, if the dog had morals, right, it would just go outside because that's the right thing to do without you having to, reward it and do all these things. That would be the ideal, that it would be internally motivated to go to the bathroom outside because it's right. It's the right thing to do. So, it would be very, hard for the dog if it started to go outside and you like yelled at it. Okay. Or, if you didn't give it any treat at all, that's harder for the dog to go outside to maintain that change just because it's the right thing. Okay. Especially hard if you're going to like yell at it or hit it with a newspaper when it's trying to go outside. Right. But if that dog still went to the bathroom outside, you'd be like, man, this is the best dog ever, right? I can't believe it's still going outside, even when I'm giving it so much negative feedback. What a great dog. And now all of a sudden you're like in love with this dog because it went to the bathroom outside, even when you were so mean to it. Okay. So hopefully you're seeing the analogy here, right? So, the right thing to do is like keep your promises and be kind to your wife. Okay. So if you can maintain that, even when she's not giving you any good feedback, even when she's being mean, just because it's the right thing to do, just because you've decided this is the right thing to do, I'm going to do it no matter what. Okay. When you push through those challenges, okay, she's going to be so impressed and you're going to feel so great about who you are as a man. Okay. So again, when she does these tests, okay, because they're going to happen, whether that's with no feedback, whether that's with negative feedback, okay, you have a couple of options. One option is to see that negative feedback and just give up, right? So you get mad at her. Well, look, you're not so perfect either. I'm making these changes. You haven't changed anything. You're not working hard. I'm working harder than you. Okay. Or to go ahead and escape, right? So you're like, oh man, this is so hard. I just got to get out of this, right? So you start working more. You just aren't at home as much. You're out with friends all the time. You start drinking. Maybe you start doing exercise, but to like such an extreme that you're just not home and you're really just trying to avoid being around your wife. Maybe you start buying stuff just so you can feel a little bit better. Okay. Maybe you start looking at pornography again or talking with another woman or whatever. Okay. So what happens when you do this? When you either get upset or you escape, okay, you prove to your wife that your changes are not real, that they're really just a manipulation, okay, that you don't actually have an internal motivation to do these things, that it's just motivated by what's outside, okay, that you're the dog that doesn't know that it's the right thing to go to the bathroom outside. You're the dog that's going to go ahead and like poop and pee all over the house when you're not getting your treat, okay? So you want to get rid of that dog, right? So again, you're showing that you're not really changing, or that your changes are really just geared to get her back. And when you don't see progress towards that, you're going to give up and stop. Okay. So again, really what this is, it's the same thing. It's that old mosquito method popping up again. It's manipulation, still part of that mosquito method. So as a review, right, the mosquito method is you do something quote unquote nice or good for your wife. Okay. But the reason for you doing that is to get something from her. Okay. That's why I call it the mosquito. It's you're trying to suck off attention, appreciation, and affection from your wife. Okay. So again, you're doing these nice things, you're making changes, you're starting to keep your promises, you're buying her things, you're starting to actually help around the house or whatever it is, right? You're actually listening to her now. But then she's not giving you good feedback. Okay. So you're hoping, oh, she's going to turn around. She's going to start loving me. She's going to have sex with me more. Right. And then it doesn't happen and you start getting mad, right? You start getting frustrated. So then either you explode at her, well, forget you, right? I can't believe you're doing this. Look at everything I'm doing for you. You're not doing anything for me. Okay. Or you escape into whatever, work, alcohol, video games, whatever. You're just kind of escaping those negative emotions and negative situation. And then you feel bad about your explosionary escape and you start doing nice things for your wife again, hoping something good's going to happen. But so really what she's testing is, the motivation behind you doing nice things. Okay. Because she says, hey, look, if you're going to be a mosquito, you're done, right? I'm going to swat you. You're out of here. Okay. So I'm not going to give you any attention, appreciation, and affection. And I'm going to see if you're still going to do nice things or not. Okay. She's basically trying to expose your mosquito method. Okay. So if it's still there, it is going to come up, right? When she does these tests, when she's mean to you, when you're being kind to her. Okay. She's going to expose very clearly, are you doing this for the right reason or not? So that's option one, is just the mosquito cycle. You try, you don't get what you want, you explode, you escape, and then you kind of go back to, trying to win her back again. Okay. And it doesn't work. It will not work. Maybe it works for a little while, but it's not going to work long term because it's manipulative and it's mean and it's mosquito and it's weak and it's not attractive. Okay. So option two is the strength cycle. And this is what we want to do. So in this cycle, you see the negative feedback from your wife. Okay, you're doing nice things, you're listening, you're buying her things, you're helping her around the house, and she's still being mean, or she's not, giving you any feedback at all. She's not having sex with you. Instead, what you do is you understand, right? You understand your wife has every right to be suspicious. Okay. She has every right to believe that you're not doing this for the right reasons, because for years you have not done good things for the right reasons. Okay. So you understand it, and you even share that understanding with her. So you say, hey, look, I know you can't trust these changes yet. I haven't given you any reason to. So even just saying that just shows like, oh, like this is different, right? This is different than him saying, oh, I'm doing so much for you. Why can't you do anything for me? Right? The mosquito is whiny, right? Has that whiny pitch to it. Okay. Where here you say, hey, look, like I know you can't trust these changes. I haven't given you any reason to. Okay. Now that's a strong statement. So even then she's like, yeah, of course I can't trust you. Screw you. I'm leaving, whatever. Right. So you could fall apart then, right? And you could go back into mosquito method and say, well, fine, you're going to leave. I'm giving up. I'm going to cut you off financially, right? All of that. But instead, the strength cycle is, you just keep being a good man and a good husband and a good father because that's who you want to be. It actually has nothing to do with her or her reactions. You've decided this is who you want to be and this is who you're going to be no matter what, because it's the right thing. Okay. You're the dog that goes to the bathroom outside because it's the right thing. Even if your wife is smacking you with a newspaper when you go out, you're going to do it because it's the right thing. Okay. So your decision is to be a good choice, right? Look, I'm going to be a good man. I'm going to be a good husband. I'm going to be a good father. And it's up to you. You can choose me or not. I've certainly given you every reason not to. I've shown you over time that I have not been a good choice. I'm committed to being a good choice now, but look, I've got to prove that to you. And I just want you to know I am committed to that. So even just like getting those words in your mind and repeating them over and over keeps you in the strength cycle. Okay. So the way the strength cycle works is, number one, you decide who you want to be as a man, a husband, and father, right? As a Christian man, you're going to align that with who God wants you to be as a man, a husband, and father. Okay. So then what do? You just act in strong, loving, and kind ways. And you do that even and especially when it's difficult. Okay. This is where you really prove your character, is when you do it when it's hard, right? Not when it's easy, not when your wife's falling all over you every time you do like one little nice thing. Okay. You prove that this is your character when it's hard. Okay. When she's not giving you any attention, when she's mean, when you're being nice. Okay. This is when you prove that you have the right character. Okay. So when you're able to do this, you feel super powerful. You feel super confident. Okay. Now, there are going to be times where you make mistakes. Okay. Of course, like you're going to try to act in strong, loving kind of ways, and then maybe you get mad, right? But you're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to adjust those. You're going to apologize, and you're going to continue to grow, and you're going to continue to be a great choice. Okay. So then that flows back into you kind of updating who you want to be as a man, husband, and father. Like we're always learning. That's the cool thing, right? We're always updating, understanding more of who we can be, how we can improve. Okay. So this cycle, it just continues building and building it into where you are just an incredible choice and continuing to improve and becoming a better choice. Okay. Notice none of this has to do with expecting something back from your wife. The strength cycle doesn't have anything to do with that. You don't expect really anything back from your wife. You are trying to be a good husband because that's who you want to be. Now, guess what happens when you are that man? You're super strong, you're super attractive, and your wife is going to choose you, okay? Because you've become a man that's a great choice. The Mosquito is not a great choice, okay? Your wife can kind of like deal with it for a while, but eventually she gets sick of it because she knows it's manipulative. You're doing good things, but because you want something from her. Where here you're doing the right things because they're the right things, okay? Guess who wants to be around that? Everybody, okay? A good woman will want to be with a man like this, period, okay? So again, why it works. You've stopped changing to try to manipulate your wife. That's the biggest thing. You've stepped out of Mosquito mode. You're into the Mosquito method. You're into the strength cycle, okay? So again, trying to change your wife, it's impossible, okay? And so it's very frustrating because whenever your intention is to make your wife do something or think a different way or act a different way, you're going to be super anxious. You're going to be very manipulative. And all of that is very unattractive, okay? Because you're trying to do something impossible, which is control her, okay? Instead, you've shifted. You focused on being a good choice for her, a good example to the kids, the man that God wants you to be. That is totally in your control. You can be a good man. You can be a good choice. You can be a good example. You can be who God wants you to be. Okay. And again, the test is, will you do that even when it's hard? Even when your wife's being mean, even when she's not giving you any kind of positive feedback. Okay. So this is the bottom line. This is why the title of this was How to Pass Your Wife's Test Even When You're Not Trying. You're actually not trying to pass her tests. This whole thing has nothing to do with her, right? It has to do with you being who you want to be. Okay. So you're not trying to say, oh yeah, she's doing this because she wants to see this, so let me show her this so that I can get her back, right? That's a game, okay? And that's not a fun game to play. It's still part of the Mosquito cycle. Okay, instead you're going to pass your wife's test because you're like, look, I want to be strong, loving, and kind no matter what. Even when my wife's mean to me, that's who I want to be, okay? So you're not trying to play some game and pass her test. You're just trying to be the right man, okay? And so when you're asking yourself that, how can I be the kind of man that God wants to be, the kind of husband that I want to be, okay? That's how you pass her tests. And that really is her biggest test. It's like, are these changes permanent? Are they going to stay? And if this shifts to your motivation, this is your motivation to change, to be like God. God doesn't change, right? And so when you're hooked to that, that's where the ultimate strength comes from. You're going to pass these tests because you're trying to align with God, right? Not with her kind of changing emotions and whatever, right? You're just hooked to trying to be like who God wants you to be, okay? You're focused on treating her the way you believe is best, okay? That's in alignment with Christian values, okay? So of course you're going to pass those tests, right? You're going to understand her at a deep level. Why? Because that's the right thing to do, okay? All right. So again, you're the dog that's going to the bathroom outside no matter what, right? And that's the dog that everybody wants, okay? So when you're the man that does the right thing just because it's the right thing, you're the man that every woman wants, okay? Every good woman wants, right? So what do you need to be able to do this? For one, you need to be able to manage your thoughts and emotions well, because when your thoughts are out of control, your emotions get out of control. If you can't manage your own emotions, you're going to go into Mosquito mode. You're going to explode. You're going to escape. Okay, you're going to try to get away from these emotions. Okay, so you need to get better at managing those. You need to be able to communicate expertly with your wife, right? You need to be able to understand her. You need to be able to use these phrases well. Okay, you need to be able to turn conflict into connection. Okay, you need the internal strength to stay true to your commitments, even when it's hard. Okay. The other thing with our program is we have, each other, right, to help each other stay true to these commitments. Okay. You need a clear sense of vision and purpose, who you want to be as a man, right, and then you need to be reviewing that consistently. Okay. You need a good, strong connection with God and yourself. Okay, and that helps you create a good, strong connection with your wife, your kids, and other people. Okay, and if you want this to go fast, you need accountability to make sure you're working on this every day, and you need coaching to be able to point out where you're going wrong and where you need to adjust. Okay, that's how you make changes fast. And you get all of this in my program, Love, Intimacy, and Legacy at MikeFrazierMD.com. Okay, I'd love to help you. Again, I work with high achieving Christian men, professionals, businessmen, um, entrepreneurs, people that, work hard, right, are resourceful to make things happen. Okay, because you've been able to do that in your career. Now you need to use those same skills to do this in your marriage. You just have to learn a different kind of set of skills. And that's what you learn here. And you get the coaching accountability to learn them quickly and implement them quickly and show these changes quickly. All right. So again, if that's you, I'd love to work with you. Head over to MikeFrazierMD.com. That's MikeFrazz as in zebra, IERMD.com, or StrongMenStrongMarriages.com if that's easier. You'll fill out, you'll schedule a call with me, and then you'll fill out an application, and then we'll talk and see if you're a good fit. And, if we can work together to help you really create this outstanding marriage and become this man that God wants you to be. All right, men, stay strong. There's also links to those in the show notes, and we will see you next episode.